What's up guys, Sagi here and welcome to another Tech Gear Talk. Today we're going to take a look at a brand new and very impressive gimbal, the Weebill S. This is obviously the next iteration of the Weebill, and there's some really impressive new upgrades in this one. This gimbal is made by Zhiyun, I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about the pronunciation, so I'll just stick with Weebill S from now on. What I am sure about is whether or not I like this gimbal. So let's get to that. I'm going to talk about some of the features of the Weebill S and show you some test footage to give you an idea of the type of shots that you can expect in terms of stability. I've had the opportunity to use a lot of gimbals, and I don't believe there's a one-size-fits-all when it comes to them. Each one of us uses different camera bodies and lenses, and we're gonna have different requirements and not to mention different wants, which is why I like to use different types of gimbals and then try to help you decide which one might work for you. So if you're interested in more information about gimbals, cameras, photography, and cinematography, join the community by hitting the subscribe and notification buttons. I want to start out by talking about what made me even consider the Weebill S, which is also called the Tiny Giant. For me, I wanted something that could handle both DSLRs and mirrorless cameras with a variety of lenses. I wanted a gimbal that was not heavy so it wouldn't add a ton of weight when I'm using it with heavier setups. I wanted a smaller gimbal that would be super portable so that I don't have to worry about bringing along a dedicated case. I also wanted flexibility in terms of handling and operation that would let me very quickly switch between different types of shots and still be comfortable while I'm shooting. I wanted it to work essentially right out of the box. I like having the ability to go into the app or the settings and make adjustments, but I wanted the gimbal to just work without forcing me to do that. And I wanted the ability to use my phone as a monitor because I use so many cameras and some of them don't have fully articulating screens, and having a monitor would help. I wanted an affordable gimbal that I could recommend to any of you if you're using similar setups. And finally, I wasn't willing to compromise on performance when it came to stability and smoothness. So does the Weebill S deliver on these? Well, yeah, it kind of does. Let's take a closer look at the Weebill S, and I'm going to include some additional footage at the end of the video so that you can get all the info up front, and if you still want to see more visuals, they're there for you. Starting off with Payload, there isn't a published Payload that I saw, but I used it with my Sony a7 III, Fuji X-T3 with the 16 to 55mm f2.8, which I haven't been able to balance on a lot of smaller gimbals without counterweights. Of course, any of my smaller cameras like the Canon SL2 or SL3 or M50, the Sony a6400, those work just fine, and I even tried it with the brand new Canon 90D with a 24 to 70 f2.8. and it easily balanced it, and the eyepiece wasn't hitting the back motor, so I had the full range of motion and could easily get it in vortex mode. So as far as being able to balance different cameras with a variety of lenses, I'm happy with what the Weebill S can do. Next, I wanted something that wouldn't be too heavy and wouldn't add a lot of weight, which is particularly important when I'm using heavier setups. And of course, I'm using the term heavier setup relatively here. I'm not carrying a cinema camera here, but I'm always interested in the lightest setup that can get me the results that I want. The Weebill S weighs 926 grams, which is approximately 2 pounds, and I'm sure the tripod and batteries add a couple of ounces. Regardless, it's extremely light, and going back and forth between the Weebill S and larger gimbals with the same camera and lens combo, there's a noticeable difference. Looking at the size, again, it's such a small gimbal when I consider the types of setups that it can handle. I really like this design where the batteries are located on the back so that we don't need to have a very long handle. When this breaks down, it's a much more portable form factor, which I can easily fit in my backpack. And that's great when I'm just walking around and shooting because I don't have to bring a dedicated case just for the gimbal. It would have been nice if they included a case like with the Crane 3, so that when I'm already taking more gear, I could pack it away more securely. Instead, it comes with these two polystyrene pieces which would only act as a case if I put them back in the box. And that's me being a little picky because I feel like I want it in concept, but then I don't know that I would actually use it rather than throwing it all in one of my bags, especially because when you want to put gimbals back in their original case, you have to break them all the way down. Okay, so it's small, it's light, and it can handle the type of payload that I need, but what about functionality and ergonomics? Again, I think the Weebill S checks that box for me. The smaller form factor means that I can use it for a longer period of time without fatigue. Holding it and using it in upright mode was super comfortable. I did notice that in the beginning I would put my top hand too high on the handle, and I would inadvertently touch the trigger, which puts the gimbal in follow mode. But I very quickly adjusted my grip and I found that it never happened again. But I wanted to mention it just in case this happens to someone else and you don't understand why. The fact that the tripod legs can be connected at the bottom for when you want a longer handle to stack your hands in upright mode is great. I really like that if you tap the LV button twice, the buttons on the back are locked, so it doesn't matter if you hit them while you're shooting. Then you can just double tap again and it will go back to being responsive. What's even better about the design is the ability to remove the feet from the bottom and then attach them on the back so that it goes into more of a horizontal setup. I could still shoot in underslung mode when I wanted to, which is great if I'm trying to quickly change the elevation of the shot. But I really like the more compact setup for low shots, and I felt that it was more stable and provided more control. It also allowed me to get into smaller areas and get angles that I wouldn't be able to get in underslung mode. So like I said, I really appreciated the versatility and the fact that I can quickly switch between how I handle the Weebill S depending on the type of shot that I'm trying to get. As far as how easy this gimbal was to use, I'm gonna say it was extremely easy. Right out of the box, I just balanced it and ran the auto tune, which senses the weight of the setup and then automatically makes adjustments to the motor torque. I literally charged it and then started throwing different setups on it and shooting, and I never got that shakiness that you sometimes get when the motor is configured for a setup that is either too heavy or too light. And of course, I still have the flexibility, if I want to go into the app and make adjustments. As far as balancing the Weebill S, I love the fact that each axis can be locked so that you don't have to worry about the camera flailing all over the place, and you can very quickly make sure that each is balanced and then start shooting. It's also a great feature because you can lock all three of them with or without the camera being attached, and it's great for when you're transporting or just walking around between locations. There's also another interesting mode in the app which is called Motion Sync. That's something that's similar to the Movi Pro Mimic or the DJI Force mobile functionality. It was better than previous attempts by Zhiyun, but it wasn't quite up to par with some of the other implementations, so I didn't find myself using it too much. I also know that I'm using a pre-release model, and there have already been 2 firmware updates which have made a number of improvements. But I would want this coupled with the next feature I'm going to talk about in order to take this feature to a whole new level. This next feature was more of a want than a need. I'm talking about the ability to wirelessly transmit video from the camera to my phone. The reason I wanted this is that I test different cameras, and not all of them have a fully articulating screen. So I can't always get a super clear view of what the camera is seeing. As long as a camera has a clean HDMI out, I can always connect it to an external monitor, but that means having to bring another monitor, and for the most part those monitors are larger and heavier than my phone. Not to mention that I always already have my phone with me. The Zhiyun designed this new Transmount Image Transmission module, which connects to the camera and then uses Wi-Fi to send the video from the gimbal to the phone. So now I can have 1080p 30, almost real-time monitoring using my phone. And I'm saying almost real-time because it's not 0 latency, but it's pretty close, and for how I use it, it worked really well, and I like that I don't need another cable connecting my phone to the setup. Okay, so I'm obviously impressed by the functionality and performance of the Weebill S, but let's get to the price. I got this gimbal and have been using it for a few weeks, but this is a pre-release model which was sent to me for review, so big shout out to Zhiyun. And if you've watched my reviews, you know that I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about a product, whether it was sent to me, I'm borrowing it, or if I bought it myself. I'm at a point where there isn't really a lot of gear that I personally or professionally need, so when I accept a product for review, it's because I'm genuinely interested in the performance of the product. It's something that I think you guys might find value in, and it's always with the understanding that I'm gonna say whatever I want about it. So while I was using it for the past few weeks, I didn't know how much it was going to cost. And I was thinking, wow, I really like this gimbal, but it'll be interesting to see where they position it as far as pricing, because if it's too expensive, it's just not gonna work for a lot of creators. I had it pegged somewhere between $600 and $650, and I just found out last night that it's gonna sell for $439 for the Weebill S alone, which I think is an awesome value. There's a Zoom Focus Pro package for $519, and that comes with the additional Zoom Focus model. And then for $679, you can get the Image Transmission Pro package, which gives you the Zoom Focus module and the wireless image transmission module. For the performance that I got, this would be a no-brainer for me. And it's definitely a gimbal that I'm going to get a lot of use out of. It's light, it's portable, it can handle the setups that I mostly use, it's super easy to use, and even has the wireless functionality that I was hoping for. Don't forget that there's more footage coming at the end of this video. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna put links in the description to where you can get the Weebill S and some accessories. There are always holiday specials and discounts, so the links will always be updated with the lowest pricing. And if you end up ordering anything using those links, you can help support my channel for free and help me create more content for you, so thank you in advance. I also just started a new Patreon page, and you'll find a link to it at the bottom of the description and on my channel page. So if you like the content I create and you see value in it, if you want to show your support, head on over there and pick whatever level you're comfortable with. I really hope this video gave you a good overview of the Weebill S, and I would love to hear what you think in the comment section. Let me know, is this a gimbal that you would want and that you would use? And regardless, I'm always curious about what your setup is now. If this video was helpful, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up, tweet it, share it, and if you haven't yet, join the community by hitting the subscribe and notification buttons. If you want more opportunities to interact with me live, come and talk to me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Tech Gear Talk. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.